Well, the government says immigration enforcement visits and arrests have hit a record high, with thousands of raids at illegal workplaces like car washes and nail bars.
But Home Office figures show that only a small proportion of those arrested have been removed from the UK. And we're joined now by the Border Security and Asylum Minister, Alex Norris. How confident can we be that even when you remove people from the UK, people who have a reason to be deported, that they won't just come back again?
Morning, Ed. Thanks for having me. Well, people can be confident that we have the right systems at the border, that if people do seek to come back, we detect them, and then, they'll be removed again, and that does happen. I have to say it's not something that is a particularly prevalent feature. We've removed some 50,000 people with no right to be here since we entered government. What we're talking about today is record levels of action against illegal working, significant 17,000 raids, 12,000 arrests. This is great for protecting British businesses from competitors who undercut them illicitly, but also sends a strong signal to those who think you can come to this country illegally because it's easy to work, that you won't be able to.
We were reporting last week, though, the case of the Albanian who had returned for the third time, claimed asylum again, and then we were told that this will now mean that he will be in our country for weeks, months, while his claim is processed. Surely somebody who's come and then been deported, surely you as a government with the courts ought to be able to expedite that asylum process and be clear that he should be out within days rather than weeks and months?
Well, it's doubtlessly, a different process, or certainly a different evidence base when people have entered the system multiple times. Circumstances can have changed, which is why, in law we do have to consider it on the merits of the application. But as we've shown before with people who've come over having been returned, those cases have been heard quickly, they have been removed quickly. We want people with no right to be here to be removed as quickly as possible, especially when they're going back to a safe country. In the case of Albania, of course, an ECHR signatory. So, we do want that resolute activity, which is why we're seeing the increases that we have seen. I've been on the show previously, before Christmas, though, saying we want to go much, much further on returns. I'm pleased with the progress we're making, but it's not enough.
I don't know if you saw the details of that case, though. I think last week we had Mike Tapp, your colleague, on, but he was unsighted. The story had just broken in the Daily Mail overnight. It's now been a week on. Can you tell us how long it will take to remove that Albanian criminal from our country, given that it's the third time of asking?
No, I can't. I can say that ministers have made the strongest possible signal that we want repeat applications to be heard as expeditiously as possible. It should be easier because the fundamentals generally won't have changed. But you would know, Ed, as is quite right, ministers are not involved in individual cases. That's not how the system works. But that we don't want to see people come back, and when we do, we want to see them returned if nothing's changed. But we are seeing that, which is why we're seeing removals at the level that we're seeing. It's why we're doing the work that we're doing, as I've been able to talk about on the programme before, around visa sanctions, so that where countries don't take their citizens back quickly enough, we can bring in penalties, to promote that sort of behaviour. It's why, we've talked before on the programme about the ECHR itself. We're committed to reform domestically of Article 8 so that individuals aren't able to use that to stay, such as an example, I may have talked to you before about around a Polish individual who's an arsonist serving 5 years who can't be removed because of his sibling. Well, that can't be right. That's why we're making those changes. So I'm pleased today we're able to announce the work that we're doing is at record levels, but I want viewers to know that we intend to go much further.
You say that it's at record levels. You've removed 50,000 illegal migrants, and that's an increase on before. It's completely dwarfed by how many people have come illegally in small boats since you came to power. Almost 70,000. And in the last year, the second highest year on record. So it seems like you're removing people and they're coming in greater numbers.
Well, we're as angry as viewers will be about people coming to this country illegally.
Yeah, but you're the government.
Yes, but the organised criminals who facilitate that have had a 6-year head start on us. But it's why we're making the changes that we're making, Susanna. It's why we're doing the work we're doing, because at the moment we know that those traffickers say, come to Britain, you'll be able to work illegally.
Yes.
So we need to demonstrate that's not the case. But it's why we're going much further than that. It's why we're making the changes to make protection time limited. It's why we're making the changes so that if people come to this country illegally, their route to settlement will be a much, much longer one. It's why we're making the visa visa sanctions we're making. It's why we're reforming the domestic operation of the ECHR. It's why we're changing the appeals system. The system is broken. Viewers know that. But we are restoring order and control. And I know that they, like me, want to see those numbers change. And until we demonstrate that, they will take that, with a degree of caution. But we're doing the right thing.